At the heart of the island, nestled among towering pines and scattered bones, stands an old, blood-red lodging house. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of burning cedar and the musty warmth of well-worn books. As you step onto the creaky porch and enter through the front door, your gaze is immediately drawn to the walls, each corner holding its own mystery. A curved brass dagger, a faded antique globe, and photographs of faces from distant times and distant places. Moving deeper into the cabin, you find the true soul of this home. The dim, inviting parlor at the back seems to draw you in like a winter fire on a cold night. It glows warmly, a vintage television perched on a sturdy oak stand, surrounded by shelves crammed with neatly arranged VHS tapes. Welcome to the Videotape Story Vault. So, enjoy your little peek into my secret heart on this one. True story. This is Box Full of Coins. Wherever he went in his travels, my pops usually came home with some kind of junk. From Panama, he came home with countless ornate knives with hand-sculpted handles. From Arizona, he returned toting an old six-shooter and rusted deputy's badge. From Hawaii, Las Vegas, Paris, Nashville, New Zealand, and more, the shelves in my grandparents' houses were filled with a multicultural mashup of secondhand memories. Stories I had been told before bed long ago and far away, full of half-remembered feelings and visions of the life they may have led together, my grandparents. I remember seeing them on my Nana's vanity at first, a seldom used piece of furniture for its intended purpose. The glass cup full of strange coins seemed perfectly at home next to the ceramic donkey and silver Casio watch. We used them for card games sometimes, my sister and I squabbling over who would get what coin and why. Coins from Greece and France and New Zealand and Mexico. All of them seemed ancient and exciting artifacts of faraway places I had only seen on TV or world maps. When Pops died, all that junk he had collected exploded into sections by various family members. Shortly after he passed, my Nana asked me if there was anything of his I wanted to keep. I didn't know what to say. The six-shooter came to mind briefly, but my mother had already claimed it. I felt ashamed I couldn't think of anything specific. I was told that they had made a bag for each of the 4 grandkids, full of items we might want to keep, as well as an even split of the coins. For this, I was and still am grateful. That being said, I had no idea what to expect. Scattered between various small towns and acreages from Vancouver Island to Pincher Creek, it was strange to think of everything my pops left behind, scattering like space junk. I got my fair share, of course, in a clear freezer bag labeled Eric. Postcards and history books from Arizona, a few of those Panama knives, and, of course, a small collection of coins. Opening the bag for the first time, I did not cry. Setting up my small shelf in his honor with all his old things, I did not cry. It was only later, months after I had sealed away the coins in an old metal lunch kit, that I looked at them more closely. What had first come to me as a disappointment, the only coins in the bag were Canadian. Those strange foreign wonders that lived in a glass on my Nana's vanity must have been split up and sent already. More space junk, more fragments of a silent explosion. Despite being familiar to me, the coins left behind were far from common. On the top of the bag sat a large plastic oval with quarters sitting flush on its surface. Printed behind the ring of shiny quarters was the planet Earth peeking out from the void of space. A blocky, retro-futuristic text in the center read, "Millennium, Canada." The same year I was born, the year 2000. I felt tears threatening to tumble down my cheeks. It was far from the only coin set I had inherited from him, but it was the first piece of his life I felt like I was meant to have. They had always been there for me, someday far down the line when I was old enough to appreciate them. I imagined Pops at the post office in Pincher Creek, the smell of stationery and card stock filling his nose as he checks the mail casually. Finding nothing but a few bills and flyers, he moves towards the small office in the back and the friendly faces who work there. The year is 2005, and my Pops has 2 grandchildren, with more on the way. In the office, the tall glass cases stand proudly near the windows, all of them filled with coin sets and limited edition stamps, glistening under the small, sunlit spotlight above. Out of all the wonder on all the shelves, one stands out above the rest. A large, familiar oval with quarters sitting flush on its surface. The blocky, retro-futuristic text in the center reads Millennium, Canada. And in those coins, my Pops can feel the future. It's a beautiful thing, the future. A future where I'm graduating high school and he's in the bleachers clapping. A future where I have found my soulmate and a place to share with her. A future where he's already gone, with plenty of knick-knacks and trinkets for the kids to remember him by. A future where I'm crying helplessly alone in my bed, with his coins and his memory in my hands. I was scared of him at the end. Scared to hear his voice and to see his face. It was no secret he was dying, losing his memory with the function of his kidneys. When I miss him like this, there's usually a strange kind of guilt attached to it. I sometimes wonder about the last words I said to him. I was scared of him by the end, not that he hadn't given me a good reason to be. It was a relief he passed, harsh as it sounds. It had been a slow-moving thing, slowly stealing his mind and his body over many months. A horrible thing. A natural thing. If you ask me, my Pops isn't watching over me from somewhere on high, or somewhere low, for that matter. If you ask me, I think my Pops is a little bit of everywhere. In all the thrift store junk and postcards, in DVDs and old photographs. He's even on a little shelf in my apartment, propped up against his old watch and his old books. I hope that my last words to him were, "I love you," or "thank you." I hope he knows how much he meant to me, and always will. My children, should we have any, will never meet him, nor will my future wife, outside of other people's stories. That still feels like the greatest tragedy of it all. Despite my fear and our relationship, I would have loved him to see me like this, to see me so happy. He did once, when I was still a child, when he would steal me away for hours at a time to skip rocks by the creek and drink slushies at the gas station. He was my favorite person in the world for a good long while. And I hope he never forgot that, even when I did. I'm sure we both could have handled things better. I'm sure he would understand.